In this video, you will learn what is a linear system and a nonlinear one. A system is linear if it obeys the superposition principle. But what is the superposition principle? It can be defined by two other properties, known as additivity and homogeneity. First, let us define additivity. A system is said to be additive if the output produced by the sum of two inputs is equal to the sum of the outputs produced by each one. Meaning that if we input a signal x1, it will output y1. If we input x2, it will output y2. So then, if we input x1 plus x2, the output will be y1 plus y2, which is the sum of the outputs produced by the inputs x1 and x2 separately. Let us make an example to check if a system respects the additivity principle. Our example is yt equals x sine of t. In this case, if we input x1, the output will be y1 equals x1 times sine of t. If we input x2, the output will be y2 equals x2 times sine of t. Then now, if we input x1 plus x2, the system will output x1 plus x2 times sine of t, which you can see that is equal to y1 plus y2, meaning that the system respects the additivity principle. Okay, so now let's move on to define the other property, homogeneity. A system is said to be homogeneous if the output produced by an input multiplied by a scalar a is equal to the output produced by the same input also multiplied by the same scalar a, meaning that if we input x1, it will output y1. Then if we input a times x1, the output will be a times y1. Let's consider the same example as before. Y of t equals x sine t. In this case, if we input x1, the output will be y1 equals x1 sine of t. Then if we input a times x1, the output will be a x1 times sine of t, which you can easily check that is equal to a times y1, which means that the system is homogeneous, and since we have previously shown that it is also additive, we can conclude that the system is linear. Therefore, a linear system respects the superposition principle, which is the same as respecting the additivity and homogeneity properties. In this video, we have shown that the system y of t equals x sine of t is linear. If the system does not respect the superposition principle, meaning that it fails to respect both the additivity and homogeneity properties, then it is said to be nonlinear. An example of a nonlinear system would be if we consider x squared instead of x, resulting in y equals x squared sine of t, which you can immediately check that it is nonlinear. So, this is all for this lecture. 4 videos are appearing on the screen. To continue learning, click on the one that makes the most sense to you. Be safe and see you in the next video.